Hello everyone and welcome to the episode 4 of Research Methodology Introduction. In this episode I want to tell you how to write a research paper. Okay, there are several types of research papers that we want to go through some of them in this episode and the next couple of episodes. Okay, the first research paper and scientific research paper that we want to discuss about and teach how to write it is a type of review papers. This is systematic literature reviews. Okay, it has a difference with surveys. Surveys, as the name tells to us, SLR or systematic literature review is a systematic review. It has a system and method. Okay, but survey, it's up to you, but it should also have a structure that we will discuss later. Okay, so the first one is systematic literature review paper. So why this one for introducing the first? Because in my opinion, as a visiting professor and a person who is very interested in research, is that when a student or someone wants to get deeper in research, the best way is to for example start with a review or survey. Some people don't agree with this opinion, but I think it is a good way to start. Okay, so by the way, not important, for example, or start at the start or at the end, but I will teach you how to write a systematic literature review. So in general, but not mandatory, systematic literature review should contain these parts. As I mentioned and emphasized, these are not mandatory, but some of them are really important. For example, bringing a technical taxonomy or summary of tables are really important, because for example a review or survey that doesn't contain a summary table, I think it's not a high quality review. Okay, first of all is abstract, and in the next some minutes I will show you the real accepted papers and published papers to see. Okay, abstract, as the name tells to us, will tell us what this paper is about, or what's the main contribution. Very short and brief. It shouldn't be more than 500 words. Okay, so the maximum 500 words. Okay, so in 500 words you should emphasize on the main contributions, the main value added, and what you are going to do in this research paper and what you have done. The second part is introduction, and before introduction, after abstract, there are also some keywords. Keywords represent the main topics that your research is strongly connected with them. For example, in many research I see that at least 5 keywords there should be. Okay, the next part is introduction. Introduction will provide a literature, some fundamental concepts, and also some introductory about the context, and also for example some highlights about your research, your main contributions, and also what was your goals. Okay, then review of related studies. So as I mentioned before, some research are based on the previous works. So in this part you should discuss that related works, what are the related works, the pros and cons, and also what is your advantage of, what is the advantage of your research or proposed model or method. Okay. But and in this case, review of related studies, for example, you tell that for this context, these are literature reviews that have published, but in this case we want to go through a specific topic that hasn't covered yet. Okay. Fourth is research method. What are the criteria of your research? For example, the papers within the 5 years. Okay, the papers within the 5 years, and for example, there should be they should be ISI and some other criteria for. So in the research method, you should define the criteria of research. Okay. Then you should propose some analytical questions that I will show you, and a text taxonomy. Then summary of the tables and the approaches that you have investigated, and at last discussion and comparison, and then references. Okay, so let me show you a published paper that is a systematic literature review that is published in Elsevier publication, the Medicine in Novel Technology and Devices. The title, so I forgot to say that the most important thing is the title of the paper. Okay, this is the title: Depression Diagnosis by Deep Learning Using EEG Signals, a Systematic Review. Okay, these are the authors, the first author, the second author. Also, you can define here the corresponding author. Okay. Here are the keywords, as I told to you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this, and this is the abstract, as I told to you, at most 500 words. Okay, let me make it a little thin. Okay, so in this part, introduction, as I told to you, includes some fundamental concepts, background, and literature about this research. Since the topic is about depression diagnosis with the EEG, you can see, for example, it is some literature and background about the depression. For example, it has been announced by the World Health Organization that according to the estimation, in excess of 322 million people around the world suffer from depression. Okay, and some background about EEG. Then we have included the main part of this article, the main contribution. This, for example, these are the highlights, that what are the value added of this research, what our contribution. The contribution is very important. Okay, so this is the review of related studies. For example, which literature review or survey is done in this context, and this will show that what are the difference between our works and the others. Okay, and one thing that I forgot, in the last paragraph of introduction, you should bring a paragraph that will present the following parts of your work. For example, in section 2 is dedicated to discuss to related works, section 3 the adopted research method is represented, and so on. So in the last paragraph of the introduction, don't forget to bring a paragraph to summarize what you will bring in the following. Okay, and then research method. So in the research method, you will you will discuss that which criteria is important to include the paper, investigated papers, for example ISI index, more than 10 citations, and so on. Okay, and also in this part you should propose some analytical question or some research question. Okay, for example, what deep learning algorithms have been used to detect or predict depression? Yeah, these are the criteria that should be included and also excluded. For example, published between 2016 and 2021. And one important thing that please remember that a high quality survey should contain the recent papers. For example, this paper has been published in 2021. So because of this, you can see that the investigated papers are within the 5 years. Okay, and also these are the exclusion. For example, not written in English, not indexed in ISI, and so on. Here you will bring the main context, the main studies that you have classified and categorized. For example, here, organization of deep learning algorithms for depression diagnosis. You should also this is related to research methodology that is presented here as this diagram, and also the research paper from different prestigious publications like Elsevier, IEEE, Springer, and other. Okay, so in related to this part that you can choose the name by yourself, you should bring this taxonomy, and this is one of your good contribution here, that you categorize your studies, what you have found, into a taxonomy, technical taxonomy, and categorize it to different areas, and in the following of the text of your research, you will focus on each of them, investigate the related works and related studies, and also bring a summary table. For example, this is a taxonomy for deep learning models for depression detection and prediction using EEG signal based on CNN, convolutional neural networks, long short-term memory models, and other algorithms. So you can see that there are different methods, and in each part these tables are presented with the references and the published year, the methods, advantages, drawbacks, and contribution. So a researcher very easily can find that which works have been done, or what are the advantage and drawbacks, and what are the open questions or works. Okay, and you can see that some contributions and value added to this you can design by yourself, and try to add value to your research as much as possible. Okay, and we can see these are the summary of the works. Each of the works, can you see a paragraph about that work, rephrased by yourself from your writing, and also written by you as a critical thinking. Okay, these are another papers, and also for example detailed information about each of the works. You can see that in each section there is a summary table. Usually it's very recommended that surveys and review papers should contain some high quality summary tables and also diagrams and so on. And in the last part you should discuss, you should bring a discussion and comparison and answer to the proposed analytical questions. For example, as you remember, the first proposed analytical question was, what deep learning algorithms have been used to detect or predict depression? In this part you should discuss them, and with the help of these diagrams that you design by yourself, and it is the contribution you can present, you can have a nice presentation to the readers and followers of your research. You can see that in these diagrams the discussion is really clear and very nice to understand. For example, which of them are the most, okay? Also these presentations, for example, frequencies of adopted feature extraction methods that we can see, these are the answers to the proposed question. And in the last part you can bring a conclusion, but not mandatory. Discussion is enough. And ethical approval and also conflict of interest. If this research is not concerned with human participants, you can say that this article doesn't contain any studies with human participants, so it doesn't need ethical approval. And conflict of interest, and also one good thing, and you can, based on the journals, you can also bring the funding sources. In some journals this is mandatory, and also abbreviations that you have used in your paper. And in the last part you can bring, you should bring the references, okay? In some works you can also bring the author's biography after the references and the name and photos. It's also a nice work to do. And also some more things that I will that is important and interesting ideas that I will discuss with you in the next videos, that I will discuss about another research types. So I hope that this episode was useful and informative for you, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and introduce it to your colleagues and friends. Hope see you in the next videos. Bye.